break it to you, but your movie has plot holes.
Welcome back. Episode 1 of Viewer Request Month 2, which is, I think, Hope was the one. I want to say it's Hope that the subtitle is There May Be a Subtitle. I like it. So that's just what it's going to be. Viewer Request Month 2, There May Be a Subtitle. Yeah, we're not looking forward to this. We're going to bang out a lot of the ones y'all had, and then we're going to go down the list and save this month, because y'all picked trash.
For the most part, some of them,
Which, I think this one could be very good. This one, we're talking about Shut Up About Plot Holes by...
why'd you point to me?
Unbelievable. Patrick H. Williams.
Patrick Williams, yeah. Yeah, this was old. I think this is one of the first episodes of EFAP that was this episode.
Really?
Yep. Second episode. My goodness. Yeah, I watched that episode exactly one time and never again. So I've forgotten so much of this. But I remember it being very, very bad.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't really just fight against people talking about plot holes. Because at that point, you know, what hill won't you die on? Shut up about plot holes. Shut up about character inconsistency. Shut up about what's the difference between...
plot conveniences and contrivances.
What's the difference between the plot holes and anything else that hurts the story? Where you're like, that's fine to talk about, but this isn't fine to talk about. Let's get this description.
That's very weird. I don't know why they would... Okay.
Yeah, this is just like... And this was... When this came out, it blew up.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, it's very simply, plot holes don't matter. Stop talking about them. They really matter.
They really matter.
They really, really
This feels
matter.
very much like the High Top Films way of speaking, in that the plot doesn't matter as much as the emotions that derive from it. And I cannot agree with that mindset. I think the plot absolutely matters. I think everything within the movie matters.
Within the story.
Within the story matters. And it's up to you to decide what matters the most to you.
How much certain things bother you versus other things. Because, you know, like lighting and shot composition, that stuff matters to me. Maybe a percentage.
Yeah. It's just like with animation and anime. That matters so little to me that when there's like, oh, this beautiful flowing animation, I'm just like, I don't care. What's the story doing? What's the characters doing? What's the plot doing?
That Mario trailer looks good, but holy crap. No, sir.
We're just gonna get out of this one then. Somehow hit stop on that one, so we're just gonna use this audio. At least it's split. Yeah. Dude, that Mario trailer? It's just, there's people that are just like, it's just Chris Pratt, and people are making fun of them for thinking it's just Chris Pratt. Like, why wouldn't it just be Chris Pratt? I don't know, because he's voice acting a role that is absolutely a character that has existed for all
with a
40 years.
Particular voice. He just goes, oh, wait till you hear my voice. It's going to be unlike any... And hyped up for that. Oh. But the big ship flying down, I'm like, yeah, that looks good. And that was my thought. That was my entire thought. Like, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah.
So that stuff doesn't matter
I
to
cared
me.
much more about what the comedy was looking like with the penguins against Bowser and stuff.
So that's the whole point. They matter. It's just how much they matter to you. And I think plot holes, if they affect the story largely enough, it shouldn't. It goes outside of the realm of how much does it matter to you, and into the realm of nah. This just womps.
And I would largely tend to agree, but I feel like that's almost everything that we absorb in media, where if something is bad enough, I've said this before, I care the most about plot, and then I care about characters and blah, 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 blah. But I can have a subpar plot if the characters are woo, which is what Slice of Life is. There's very little plot going on in a lot of the Slice of Life things. It's just characters interacting. going through their trials and tribulations, their trials and tribulations, as opposed to something with the world, something unfolding plot wise, that type of thing. So I can have a subpar or a practically non-existent plot if the characters are spectacular, if the world is something I care about, that type of thing. But plot holes, I feel like, are a mistake, and mistakes build up. And when a mistake is too, like The Dark Knight Rises has a lot of editing mistakes, and I can't ignore those mistakes enough times to go, whatever, a couple times, it's film, what are you gonna do?
But there are people that will ignore them or not even notice them.
Absolutely. And there's people like me who don't really notice animation, and not so much notice animation unless it's like movie quality. I don't really know. Like that big shot in season 2 of Demon Slayer, the new GIF.
The new GIF.
What is supposed to be amazing there?
Yeah.
It's a lot of colors, but it's a lot of
movements, it's a lot of flashing.
It's not even a lot of movement. It's a lot of DBZ fighting, where they're just kind of swinging their arms.
No, but not like if the imaginary camera is just sort of panning and moving and things like that.
So if Dragon Ball did that, would it be the same if they just added some colors? Because there was nothing interesting in the fight itself. It's just a lot of swinging and things around them.
I don't do. Who are you asking?
So when people are like, "Oh, look at this," I'm like, "Look at what for the new GIF?" Yeah. So I don't think you should shut up about plot holes.
Yeah, never.
But let's see what he thinks about shutting up about plot holes. I also like that he acknowledged whatever Mikey was using.
But I don't know if that's supposed to be a positive or a negative thing. Is he going, hey, calm down, I know the audio sucks, but it was used by this mic? Or is it, yo, the audio sounds real good, right? It's with this mic.
It might be one of those things where the comment section or people on Twitter are always asking, hey, what microphone do you use?
But why wouldn't he put it in the description?
Because people don't read the description. People do not read the description.
But
people do not. You know, when we were
read
editing
the description.
Yeah, we do, but people don't. Just like we don't watch anime scenes, but people do.
It's in his description as
well. Okay, it's just like when we were editing, we would put the song in the description, and people would still go, "Hey, what's the song?" There would be times where it was content ID match. What?
Oh, that's almost $1,000 mic. That's a chunky boy, huh? No, sir.
It must be like an XLR mic or something. But there would be times where content ID would come up and you could see the little tag of what the song was, and people would still be like, "What's the song?" Like, people do not read. They hear, they watch, and they go, please answer.
Why would they read here as well?
Because when the video starts, there's no choice but to see what's going on the screen. It's very hard to hit play and immediately click off the screen unless it's auto-played. And even then, with that silence between autoplay, you go, what's happening? What?
I just, because I was looking through the Gorillas Reddit, and somebody put up a GIF, and there was the lyric was quite clearly "feel good," and somebody in the comments went, "What's this song?" So I can't even really be like reading, listening. It's what? Hey, whatever. What? You're on the Gorillas Reddit and you don't know "Feel Good" Inc. Come on now.
Even as a non-fan, I know what it feels good.
Love says "feel good."
I know what Clint Eastwood is. Like I know what these songs are. Jesus Christ.
Okay, guys, we got to talk about plot holes. Used to be this thing that only existed in super nerdy movie conversations. Like, hey, how did Indiana Jones survive clinging to the outside?
I don't necessarily think that.
No, because I know noted film critics like Roger Ebert would talk about plot holes.
And not even just talking with your friend about something. You just go, hey, that didn't make sense that this happened.
Maybe even if you didn't know what the phrase itself was, you knew what the issue was.
Yes, it's this is the issue. It's not necessarily this is a plot hole. No, why did this happen exactly? And I don't think that that's super nerdy film people, because you talk to people about the films that you come in, walk out of, scenes that people have seen. You talk to them, and the good things are going to come up, and the bad things are going to come up. So it's going to come up no matter what. Unless you're one of those people that just goes, I liked it, I didn't, walk away.
Hey,
everything's an opinion.
Please, the second you walk out of a theater, do not start talking about the movie loudly with your friends, because you could spoil people going into movie.
That definitely has died down, but I don't know exactly because I've always got my headphones on.
There you go.
And survive clinging to the outside of that submarine. But over the past 15 years, they've become pervasive, spreading through online movies.
Because online has become pervasive.
That's what I was just about to say. So this came out in 2018, so he's going from 2003 to 2018. It's become more and more prevalent. Yeah, because the internet has become more and more prevalent. The exchange of widespread opinions and knowledge has become more and more prevalent. Otherwise, you would have to read a newspaper or hear about it in order to be like, hey, Star Wars, what?
Or you have to be a super nerdy dude who in 1998 knew about IRC chat rooms and that type of thing. And AIM, if that was even available at the time.
I don't think that let's say 1994 was this utopia of movie good, movie bad. Why movie bad? But movie bad.
Me no enjoy.
I don't think that people have always talked about movies.
Yeah. People have always criticized things in movies.
Within the movies.
Conversations.
I'm sure back in the Star Wars days where Luke kissed Leia, they were, once the next movie came out, it was like, y'all sisters. I'm sure somebody was just like, wait, what? Why did they kiss? That's weird. That's creepy.
Yeah.
Did he not think about that?
Do you think that idea happened magically in 2003 when the internet happened? Or was it always around? But again, that's that nerd thing. But again, even if you don't know what the word itself is, you probably knew what it was. That was the issue.
Pervasive, spreading through online movie conversations. Everywhere you turn, people are complaining about...
Okay, that's annoying.
People are talking about the movies, and plot holes are going to be a part of it if there are plot holes within the movie.
Yes.
I don't expect to go into a really good movie and then read something online and just like, I don't want to see any plot holes. No, people are going to talk about this if it's going to be in there because there are so many people online.
You thought that movie was good? Well, what about blank?
There's so many people with so many different opinions, with so many different viewing perspectives that somebody's going to catch something that you didn't see. Mm-hmm. So, and that's going to be spread around. That's going to be, you're going to catch on to it if you're, watching a review or reading the comments or something. It's not like everybody's talking about it. No matter where you go, it's everybody's talking about a movie. So if people are talking about the movie, this is going to be a thing that people are going to talk about. It's like somebody talking about bad characterization, bad lighting, whatever. It's just another thing that is within the movie that you can talk about.
The shot looks very flat. That's just a thing to be talked about.
It's dumb to just be like, everywhere you go, they talk about this thing. Shut up.
Okay, refute it. Instead of ignoring it, instead of shutting up about it, go, hey, that is a problem, but it doesn't detract enough from the movie, in my opinion.
Or, hey, you misconstrued that because they later explained it. It was a little bit of a line, but it was here.
Yes, it could have been a more prevalent explanation, but they did explain it. Did you see that comment section? I'm sorry to cut you off. Did you see that comment section, which was just like, even if Oda explained why the government wasn't after Luffy, it still wouldn't make sense. And once I read that sentence, I went, I don't want to read anymore.
It's like, okay, we're done here.
Because the explanation itself, if that's not good enough, then you can go. It still doesn't make sense. But
a 5-star covering all bases explanation, and you still go, well, it still don't make sense.
That's like everything fantasy wise doesn't make sense until it explained. Let's just go stick with One Piece. Luffy stretches episode 1. That does not make sense. Oh, but there's devil fruits and he ate the one that allows him to stretch. Now it makes sense. Now it's explained and makes sense for the world. Yeah, I'm not. I was just like, I'm not. There's nothing.
No, there you. We're done here.
Biggest plot holes.
Plot holes.
All the plot holes.
So full of plot holes.
Plot hole.
Naruto plot holes.
So many plot holes.
Plot holes and movie plot holes.
Okay, you went to a lot of popular things, and I'm sure a lot of those people were very much like Bricky, where it's like, it's so boring. Where instead of boring, it's plot holes. There's so many plot holes.
One of them was either Seth the Programmer or Swag Kage, and that's that's another thing. But yeah, I don't care that you showed about a couple people talking about plot holes, because people talk about plot holes.
11
is nothing. It means nothing that they're talking about it. I don't know what point that you think that you're making, but it's just talking about a movie.
Back in April, when A Quiet Place opened, my Twitter and Facebook feeds were filled with people complaining about all the plot holes. I saw one guy say he'd made a list of 41 plot holes in that movie. But here's the thing. No one seems to actually know what a plot hole is. And all those plot holes people complain about, they don't actually matter. So
why didn't you show the list? Why didn't you go to the list and go, here's a couple of examples?
Maybe he will.
I don't remember if he does or doesn't, but now would be the time to go, here's a plot hole. Why don't they just live by the water?
Yeah, if he was saying 41 plot holes, there's all this space next to him. Why wouldn't it just be scrolling?
Why not? Why not show the Twitter post? Why not explain, hey, I couldn't find the Twitter post, so that's why it's not here?
Why not take a step, stay left or right, and then just like 41 plot holes, step to the side, and then just let it scroll next to it.
And if you're going,
and then recenter yourself.
It don't matter. Even if you do it in such bad faith that you attack the ones that, like I said, the ones that can be proven, like whatever plot holes, versus why don't they just live by the water because they can make a whole lot of noise. That one's just like, well, that's just inexcusable. There's no reason why they don't do that, because it works. But if it was like, she stepped on a toy right here. Why was that toy on the ground? Plot holes. And then earlier a kid dropped the toy as they were running away. It'd be like, okay, that's explainable. And if he attacked that explainable one, you'd be like, see, that don't matter. And then that way you could be like, these 41, they're all around this same level. Do something, even if you do something disingenuous like that, that would at least be something to showcase that there's sometimes that plot holes don't matter, as opposed to just, there's 41 of them, big number, and they just go, yeah, they just don't matter, switch.
They don't actually matter. So, what is a plot hole? People's definitions vary, but here's the generally accepted one that I use. A plot hole is a point in which...
Of course, the one that you use is the one that's generally accepted. That's very interesting.
a story breaks a previously established rule about its own universe. Basically, it's when a story contradicts itself. Okay, so here's what are not plot holes.
Let me look up.
Well, Oscar look up.
Let's see if we can get something from... Oh man, I looked up plot hole definition and then this comes up. Literally the Patrick Willems video.
Cool.
Webster's a good one.
Today is gonna
Oxford,
be
that's fine.
Great day.
An element in a story, book, film, etc. that does not fit in with other parts of the story. I don't like that one. I don't like that.
You don't like the definition?
Yeah, because it's something that doesn't fit in with another part of the story. Because, like you said, Luffy episode 1, he's stretching. Well, that doesn't fit in. These all look like normal people. Oh, but then it later... I don't like that one.
Maybe once the story is complete, it doesn't fit in. Because as it's ongoing, you can't really call it a plot hole until that plot thread is finished.
But can we really call anything a plot hole if it's like a trilogy? In the first movie, something that just blatantly doesn't make sense.
It's explained in movie 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say within the trilogy, I'd say within the movie it's a plot hole, but once the story is complete, within the story it's no longer a plot hole.
Cambridge has the same one. But Webster, no, that's plot. Whatever, doesn't matter. Wikipedia.
Wow, really? That's what you're going to?
In fiction, a plot hole, plot gap, plot error is a gap or inconsistency in a story that goes against the flow of logic established by the story's plot. Plot holes are usually created unintentionally, often resulted by editing or writers simply forgetting that a new event would contradict previous events. Yeah, I like that a little bit more.
Yeah, I would say that's more in line of what I believe a plot hole to be.
And then it's the whole established thing links back to Oxford. And that is an inconsistency in the narrative. Whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, yeah, sure, whatever. That's fine.
In The Dark Knight Rises, we never see how Batman gets back to Gotham City.
Okay. Sometimes things do happen off screen.
Yes.
How did this one happen off screen?
Because he has all these stakes against him. He's broke. It's all walled off. They said nobody can get in and out. All of these things are going against him, and then he just magically shows up. You can use the excuse, yeah, he's Batman. Yeah, he probably got an underground tunnel or something.
Somebody owes him a favor that flew him near Gotham, and then he used his tunnel.
These are all assumptions that we have to make that is not within the story. So if you're making your own story up, that's not the movie doing it. Yeah. So I would accept this as a plot hole. Even though it is established that Batman has resources, he doesn't have these resources.
Does he have this specific resource to get here?
Would Bane have not accounted for the resources because he was already underground, so he knows that the underground systems and all that stuff.
Like, I have no issue with Batman entering a building that's locked down.
I have no issue with Commissioner Gordon talking and then turning his head and Batman's gone from the bank, let's say. Because, he can't really grapple out. He probably just ran out. I have no issue with that because we know that that's what Batman does. But this is a thing where he's got all these things against him, and they've established that there's no way to get into the city, and they've established that he's broke and essentially naked, and he just shows up clean-shaven, flaming bat.
He goes to a town, and then within 6 hours, he's back into Gotham, clean shaven and everything. Had time for a bath, a change of clothes, get all his tech and gear.
Make a giant flaming bat that nobody saw him making. So yes, this is a plot hole. But that's the thing. When I talk about something like that, I wouldn't use the term plot hole.
Yeah, you would just talk about why is he back in Gotham? It makes no sense.
That's a plot hole. One of the earliest cinematic developments was the...
No. Don't address that. Just punch him with your Hulk gloves and pan away. Hey, why isn't this an issue? Why shouldn't you care about that, Patrick? Why?
Because it happens off screen.
Why does this man deserve a punch? Because it happens off screen. Okay, so can Thanos just be killed off screen? And
sure.
He just did, and he just was?
Sure.
No!
Yeah, I took him out.
Yeah, I did it. It was me.
Yeah, we ain't got to worry about Thanos no more. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, okay. Movie over. Thanks for 20 years, guys.
Thanos rocks up in the beginning of Avengers with the Power Stone already. We've already seen the level that the Nova Corps is. We know that they're not super duper strong. We don't need to see Thanos going over there to get it.
Yeah, that's not a plot hole. He did the thing last week. Okay.
Yeah, he got it.
We see him taking out an Asgardian ship. So we have no issue going, okay. And he's going hands to hands with the Hulk. Okay. He probably took out the Nova Corps.
Hey, how did he know to go to that planet? There was a huge spike of energy a couple years back when Peter grabbed the stone, so sensors, something like that. I can accept that. But
Without the movie outright telling me that thing.
I didn't need a 5 to 10 minute scene of Thanos going there and raising the Nova Corps and then leaving and then going over to the Asgardians and stuff like that.
But imagine if they went, no one knows where the Soul Stone is. Oh, I know where it is. And then he just has it. No, not even I know where it is. No one knows where it is. And then the next scene, he has it.
He just got it off screen.
You would go, excuse me, movie. And that's the feeling I get with plot holes. Even if I don't say the word plot hole. Excuse me, movie.
Wait a second. But didn't you just say?
I'll ask the questions around. Carjacking? Who said anything about a carjacking? But didn't you just say?
Concept of montage. The idea is that when two images are presented in sequence, the audience understands that they occur chronologically and will mentally fill in the time between scenes. So for instance, if a person is in one location and the next scene they're in another location, we understand that in between scenes they traveled between the locations.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely fine, but if
we don't need to see them walking and catching a cab to the location.
But if it was, let's say they're in Florida and they need to get to California and it's an apocalypse and they need to get there in 6 hours and it's like all lines of transportation are gone and they get there in those 6 hours, I would need to see that. Yeah. But if they need to go to the bank, I'm like, we don't need to see them going to the bank.
It's a mundane occurrence to go to the bank. Now, sure, they can get splashed with water or something. Mm-hmm. Even that could be in a comedic beat where what could go wrong is I'm just going to the bank and then their clothes are all scuffed up. We don't need to see that. That's a comedic beat, a comedic hard cut to, again, not plot hole, but again, like you said, if it's an apocalypse, if all lines of transportation are down, except for cars, and a car drive non-stop would take you 20 hours, and you need to get there in 3, and you do get there in 3, don't you think you should go,
you should
excuse me, movie?
Absolutely see that.
To assume that the audience is reasonably intelligent, but I guess they're wrong.
This is very much like what the Captain Canteen was talking about with Demon Slayer, where the audience is smart enough to infer what happened.
2 and 2 together. That's what it is.
Are these people like 2 semesters deep into a creative writing class and then think they just know what writing is about and that the audience should be smart enough to where you don't need to say every little thing?
Well, if it's creative writing, you would think that the teacher would say the audience is there's a certain level of suspension of disbelief that we must all accept. But
do they internalize that as something else? Because there's a lot of people that just feel very, I'm smarter than you when they talk about these types of things. And I wonder if it's just they took a class at one point.
Or they could just be so tired of hearing it that they just internalize it and just put out a video like this. I
mean, we're tired of hearing about certain things, but I'd be able to explain why they're an issue as opposed to shut up talking about the thing.
He is explaining why it's not an issue, though.
He definitely didn't with the Batman thing.
No, because that was off screen, and now he's going, you can fill in the blanks. That's his point.
But the blank is too gappy.
No, it's not a blank. It is a blank, and that's the issue. You can fill it in, but you can fill it in with almost anything. Mm-hmm. Let's use another example. Somebody's going, dang, my job says I'm going to be fired if I'm late one more time. I got 5 minutes to get to my job. That's 30 minutes away. Hard cut, he's there. Like, no.
Running into the building.
Now, if this was a comedy or something like that, and he comes in, he's covered in like chicken feathers and stuff like that, you're like, something happened there. Hard cut, pretty funny, whatever. But even still, it'd be like, 5 minutes for 30 minutes. That's crazy. But anyway, Yeah, it's you can't just be like, you just fill in the blank, because at that point you can fill in any blank with anything. So you don't need to see Thanos getting killed. In Multiverse of Madness, when they were just like, yeah, we beat Thanos, and you know they showed him just dead on his big dumb hook thingy.
Yeah.
You don't need to see that, because we know that these people are very powerful. We see that Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet, he's not super duper strong. He's pretty strong, but you got
pretty strong.
But you got Captain Marvel, who was shown to be putting hands to Thanos. You've got Blackagar Boltagon, everybody's favorite.
Why do you hate him so?
It's such a horrible name. But you've also got Strange, and this is a Strange that has been shown to be able to be willing to do the dark arts in order to get what he wants. So we see that this is an even more powerful Strange, and our Strange was able to do some amount of damage to Thanos with the stones. So we don't need to necessarily see them beating Thanos to understand that, yes, they are able to beat Thanos.
Sorry, I gotta write down the spoilers now so I can quick turn this around.
Yeah, that was a chunky one.
We've done Multiverse of Madness, Dark Knight Rises, and Infinity War, I believe.
Episode 1 of One Piece. No, that's just not worth it. We said he was rubber. Don't write it down.
He showed us every single second that happened during the span of the story. They would be 40 hours long and really f***ing boring.
Pause. We don't need to see every second of every single story. There's a suspension of disbelief that this is a grown man, so surely they have either a car or a way to get to it where they need to go to.
They're already heading towards location. I don't need to see the 20-second montage of them catching a cab or catching a subway and that type of thing to get to location.
I don't need to see that. I don't. But if it was it's nighttime and then they travel to a location and it's the same day, but it's daytime, and they go, "We made it in time." No, you didn't.
You still October 2nd. Yes.
But this is taking it to the extreme to just be like, we don't need that. No, we don't need that. But what we need is what we need.
Oh, dude, he legitimately barely explained it. He explained it in that we've seen movies where a character gets from A location to B location. Again, I have no problem with Batman getting into Wall Street or the bank in The Dark Knight Rises to stop Bane and that type of thing. I don't need to see him travel to that. I don't need to see him go into a vent through the roof to get inside the building, that type of thing. Batman got into the building, and I am fine with that explanation. He has many ways. He can map out the building. He can learn of a weak point in the wall where nobody's at the time and cut it out or bang it out, get through a window. Catwoman does it. We've seen it. We don't need to keep seeing it.
Yes.
This, halfway across the world,
Bush, no, you can't just go.
While he's broke, if he still had money, I'd even accept it. Mm-hmm. He's got nothing.
And for you to just go, we don't need to see every single second. We need to see the important seconds. We don't need to see Batman taking a... We understand that Batman is a human, so Batman must take... But for him to go back to Gotham with all those opposing obstacles, no.
I don't need to see every piece of tech Batman has to be built. I don't need to see him manufacturing batarangs. The 20 batarangs on him. I don't need to see that.
There are so many plot holes in A Quiet Place. Oh, it's such a great movie. I mean, like, why did they decide to have a baby? And why didn't they just move to the waterfall?
Oh, this is the one that really dropped.
Okay, the baby thing is not a plot hole.
Yeah, no. Condoms break. They could just be like, we can't live like this. We need to, in case we need to restart civilization, get back to a sense of normalcy. It's like maybe they're trying to break up and it's like getting a dog and, hey, this is going to fix our relationship. That's not a plot hole.
Hey, it doesn't. The pet don't.
it might do the thing sometimes.
If you're thinking of breaking up, why would a baby or a pet rekindle your love for each other?
You could have less to talk about, and that's making you drift apart, and now you have something more to talk about.
What did Fido do today? Oh, you should have seen it. It was the cutest. He jumped around.
Hey, I went to the dog park, and the Johnsons have a dog as well. And our dog was pretty friendly, so I'm glad that the dog is friendly with other people. I've noticed that earlier when I was walking him, and the old lady came up and he pet him, and then I was like, oh, the dog. And
I'm glad we got 4 minutes more of conversation out of our loveless relationship. I'm so happy that we could talk to each other for 4 more minutes out of our day.
No, but that could also lead to, so when I was coming back from the dog park, I went to Walmart and I saw that. You remember that doll that you had when you were a kid, and then it's like, oh, you remember the doll that I had?
Are you creating a story to explain why a dog would save a loveless relationship?
I am giving a potential relationship that you can fill in the blanks with.
So it just so happens that this was the time when you went to Walmart and happened to notice the doll.
Did you leave the dog in the car when you went to Walmart?
Why did you go to Walmart?
They don't allow dogs in the Walmart. It's falling apart. The plot holes. They don't matter. Oh no.
Movies are, for the most part, about human beings, or at least characters who think and act like human beings. And you know what human beings are not? Logical. People are impulsive.
People are as logical as they are. This dude is so fixated in A Quiet Place. He's so fixated on protection and protecting his family and cautiousness. They've got a whole system in Monopoly where they just do it. Quiet Place, write it down. Where they just do the little cotton plush stuff like that. He's got a whole system of light system. He's a very cautious person.
He's built a baby coffin to protect the sound of the baby.
And he knows for a fact that the water shields the sound so they can make as much noise as they want. It is ever free-flowing water. The water don't stop. And there's never a sentence given as to why they don't go over there. And if all you can say is, well, he's stupid. He's stupid is not a good enough explanation. Because I don't want to watch a stupid person doing illogical things when your whole thing is to protect your family. When you can protect your family by doing this thing.
If The Quiet Place was during like the winter, I feel like it would be more excusable because you're just exposed to the elements. How are you going to camp out there for the rest of it? And even if that was the explanation, it's too open. Anybody can attack us. Anything can attack us.
Him just going, we can't build a house. I'm not an engineer. I don't know how to build a house. And we can't just rock out in tents out here. Because we just saw some people running around. We don't know what civilization is like. And what if a creature is just walking by and they step on us, we yell, and then they just attack all of us?
Just because we can talk freely doesn't mean that this sound won't attract the creatures. Because it's still a waterfall.
It's not necessarily extremely feasible. Now, you could go, because wasn't the plan, like, once the baby starts to come in, we go to the waterfall to mask the noise?
I can't remember if that was part of it.
I don't remember if it was. I feel like, no, because he made the baby coffin thing.
Yeah. I think that house was just their house.
If he did not have the baby thing, and he was just like, well, we'll wing it. And your argument
if he was less meticulous, and even if he was like, I found this the other day, and heard people screaming, and nobody came.
Something, but he's down there with the radio and all that stuff. He's a very cautious person. That's my fault. How very rude.
And you know what human beings are not? Logical. People are impulsive. They make choices based on emotion.
Okay, so people are impulsive. Impulsivity is a momentary lapse of judgment. This is they are
Like,
a couple years into this.
Let's just say it's The Quiet Place. An impulse would be like the daughter getting mad and slamming a door.
Yes. That's an impulse.
We're supposed to be quiet. It's too late now. I've slammed the door.
I impulsively did not move my family over to this location that I've known about for so long to keep them safe. It's not a sentence. It doesn't make sense.
Not everyone thinks exactly.
Okay, and they're also based on emotions. The emotion of keeping your family safe.
Which he was willing to die for and did.
If he was like, I don't want to take y'all on long trips anymore because last time that happened, our kid got snatched up. That would be an emotion. That would be the fear of moving us here because anything can happen between there and there. We don't have the road mapped out with sand or whatever, the mascard footprints. We don't have the infrastructure to do that. That would be the emotion.
Largely uncharted territory. Whereas we have a lookout on the roof. We can see where other houses are if there is an issue.
We have a hideout plan.
We can see where if creatures are coming and warn the others.
Light systems, all this stuff.
We're pretty exposed out here.
If there was this conversation, we would know that the emotions would play into this. We would know that the impulsivity would play into this. But there's not even the conversation. So we just have to just go, why don't they move there? Oh, he's stupid. When the whole house thing makes sense, if it was brought up. The whole tents thing makes sense, if it was brought up. The whole making noise still attracts those things makes sense. But none of these are brought up.
Impulsive. They make choices based on emotion. Not everyone thinks exactly the same. And also, people make mistakes. You know when start.
Absolutely, but these are our people writing a story. You would think that. Oh, is he doing Star Wars?
No. We did Star Wars for the spoilers.
Okay. But these are people writing the stories. You would think that they would be like, let's tackle this from all possible angles. How does this work? Why wouldn't this work? What is an audience potentially going to say about this? This is a great idea. I love this story. But the whole water thing, nobody came up to their story editors, screen boards, directors. None of them went, hey, but why don't they go to the water?
Now, here's the question. They do that, and then the head muckety muck goes, is this going to detract from a general audience? And I would submit no, depending on, considering how much money A Quiet Place made. Mm-hmm. They're just going to care about the overall thing and the emotions of it and the story itself.
And that's one of those things where we talked about earlier, where it's not necessarily this one thing breaks the story, but it is a little chip, and enough of them chips breaks down.
Mm-hmm. It's not enough to fully detract from it to where you're like, this is implausible now. You have to suspend your disbelief enough in this plot hole to still find A Quiet Place good. Otherwise, it's a big problem.
Trek, Vulcans live dominated by logic, and it's established that acting logically is at odds with acting human. So if everyone acted totally logically all the time, only making the most logical decision in any situation, no one would be acting human. Thus, there would be...
That's completely understandable, but if there was a reason given as to why he didn't do the water thing, that would be something, but there's not. So we don't know if he's acting logically in not taking his family there. We don't know if that's the most logical thing. We don't know if he's gone, I've mapped this out so many times it wouldn't work. I tried to hammer a nail, and that for some reason attracted them, so we can't build a house. That'd be something. But we have nothing to know why he's acting like that.
Like, a logical thing at the end when he dies, you could say it would be more logical to pick up a rock and throw it near the creature to lure it away or whatever. But it's not, because he thought that was the best possible thing.
That's the acting on emotions thing that I would accept.
No conflict, which would lead to no drama, which would lead to no stories.
dude, you are truly not getting this.
Did he just go?
Let's hear how he went.
Logically all the time, only making the most logical decision in any situation, no one would be acting human. Thus, there would be no conflict, which would lead to no drama, which would lead to no stories.
It absolutely would, because there's antagonists who are also acting as logically as possible, so they're gonna butt heads.
Let's just go
So
with
there is a story.
Let's just go with The Quiet Place, and they did the most logical things throughout the movie. Is there still not tension,
Yes.
plot, story, drama? Even
away
if everything was the most logical thing that could happen.
take away the waterfall, and they're acting as logically as possible in everything that they do.
They're playing board games to not go crazy.
With boredom. So they're acting as logically as possible, but we have to accept that they're just not acting logically by not doing anything to go over to the waterfall. This is not a good point. This is a horrible point. Dude, what the are you talking about?
And sometimes logical things just don't work out. And that can happen in a movie. That could be the drama.
The most logical plan. Here it is, straightforward, and it just falls apart, and you just go, oh, there was some things that you couldn't account for.
How was I to know that day it would be raining?
Movies would be really f***ing boring.
Again, no examples. No examples of how, if this character had acted as logically as possible, then this would have been really boring. If he had acted as logically as possible and started to try to build a house to make them go over there, that's still a months-long process. That's still, once they get in the house, who knows if it's sturdy enough to sustain them. They had a big house, a big farmhouse, all the food and grains and all the stuff that they need. But this is a little tiny shack, so now they're all butts to elbows with each other. That's still conflict. That's still, you can get stir crazy. You can still have the question of, is it better to be here safe, but not even really living a good enough life where we're just standing around doing nothing?
Forever.
Plot contrivances are not necessarily plot holes, unless it is egregious enough. Something like Star Wars, The Force Awakens, Rey just rocks up and BB-8's there. Of course, on this entire giant planet, the whole thing that starts up the story is right there by our hero.
Yeah, that's very convenient.
That's very convenient. But I wouldn't even necessarily say that's a problem with the story. That's just it's a story that it needs to happen. Whatever, it was gonna happen anyway. No matter if she had gone into town and BB-8 was there. No matter what, if it was Finn had him on him. The story needs to happen. We need to get
It's
here.
the most streamlined way to make the story happen at the moment.
Plot conveniences like that, there are some that gets a little bit too far, but this whole is a ball in the desert and she rocks up. It's like, yeah, but that's not a chip for me.
Like I'd say Tandro's ghost parents are ghost family is a plot convenience that goes a little too far.
Because they saved them several times.
Several times. Even unlock new abilities within them.
Write it down.
Demon Slayer.
A huge plot hole in Star Wars. I mean, come on. Why would the Death Star have such an obvious design flaw?
Okay, some of these can be valid complaints.
It's not an obvious design flaw. It is a flaw that needs to be so stringently exploited. And it's just... could they have put a fence above it? Sure, but they're not like a bunch of people are gonna, number one, know the weakness. Number two, be able to fly towards that weakness. Number three, actually do it.
Without us stopping them. But it is a contrivance.
Yes.
Sometimes there's a story development that's a little too convenient. Like in the 2009 Star Trek, Kirk just happens to get stranded on the same planet as old Spock, and they end up in the same cave together so Spock can explain what's going on. I like the movie, but that's a little contrived and lazy. But it's not a plot hole.
I mean, how does Benicio del Toro know the rebels' plans? Nobody told him. That's a plot hole.
At least 50% of the plot holes that I see people complain about are things that are actually explained in the movie if you just pay attention. Like that one in The Last Jedi, there's a scene where you see DJ listening as Poe tells Finn and Rose the Resistance's plan.
Absolutely. That is a bad example that you use purposely to show that this is a bad example. I wish you had done that with The Quiet Place, but this is something that you told a dude to say in order to be like, no, this was explained.
Yeah, there are definitely 100% people.
There are things that people miss.
Just and sometimes it's so small that it's a 12-second thing, and you go, why would they? Oh, you missed that part where, oh, did they do that? Okay, that makes sense. Moving on to the next thing. I accept what you said. I just happened to miss it. My issue is alleviated. Moving on to next thing.
Just yesterday, Gavin was in an argument about Hunter x Hunter. Very interesting stuff. Loved it. Fantastic.
Oh boy, they were going. Oof.
Loved it. Loved being awake for an argument. But one of the arguments was Gavin misconstrued the fact that Judgment Chain, the one that stabbed your heart, that was tied into his only can be used against the Phantom Troop thing. And it was just like, nope, here's the manga panel. He's like, oh, my bad. But my point still stands that, and he moved on, acknowledging that he had made a mistake. But the point was not crumbled whatsoever.
Yeah, the main point was still there. Which is what you should do. You shouldn't just keep going, nah. But it's here.
But I guess if you're too busy live tweeting about plot holes, you can miss some stuff. If you want, you can find plot holes anywhere.
He is so pretentious.
Absolutely. Because he just goes 50% of the plot holes that people talk about were explained in the movie. What about the other 50%? Do those tie into the contrivances that are not plot holes, things that happen off screen that are not plot holes, and then we just have no plot holes, or do they just not matter? Or do they exist? Does he think that plot holes exist?
Yes, because he said there are some valid ones for plot contrivances. He said they exist, but they don't matter. Like people that know Corona exists, but they feel it doesn't matter because it's no more than a common cold or the flu or something. That type of thing.
Most were not masked up to the Gorillaz concert. What y'all doing?
Why would you be? It's over.
I was.
You know how foolish I feel sometimes going to a place and being the only man. I went up to, I think it was Rite Aid or Family Dollar or something. And there was a sign up front that said, unvaccinated people still need to be masked. And I'm wearing a mask like, people are going to think I'm unvaccinated. When really, I'm being cautious.
I went up to donate blood and like, yeah, you don't have to wear masks in here. I was like, surely you guys of all people
are all over your favorite movies. In Lord of the Rings, the Eagles could have just flown the ring to Mount Doom and saved everyone all that trouble.
Yeah?
I think that there was a reason why that was given.
Oh yeah, I think Mike or Ralph told us about it, and you know that type of thing flies out of my mind when it comes to Lord of the Rings.
I'm not listening to that. But yes, there are a lot of plot holes in a lot of movies. They do matter. Let's talk about why they didn't do this. I think he's going to talk about Toy Story and why does Buzz Lightyear freeze when he sees Andy. Absolutely. Why does he do that? There's a point in Toy Story where when they're trying to get Buzz from Sid, and he goes, I'm going to have to break a whole lot of rules by doing this, but we're going to have to reveal ourselves. And I'm like, rules? Is there like a toy council? What necessarily constitutes a toy? When does a toy gain sentience? I don't necessarily think that these are plot holes, but maybe they are once you go into the fourth one, and a little girl put some googly eyes and some wire on some arm on a fork, and that's considered a toy. You go, what is considered a toy? If a kid picks up a rock, why did I fix that? If a girl, a kid, let's say a kid picks up a rock. If a kid picks up a rock and just goes, we rock, and draws a ... eye smiley face, is that a toy?
I would assume so, since the stick guy was a choice.
So, and we need to figure out what constitutes a toy at that point.
What gives them the magic to be real?
What if a kid draws a smiley face on a house? Is that a toy?
And starts banging it with a stick.
And puts a little dressy on it. What about PlayStation 5?
What happens if a kid, sorry, needed to sneeze right when I started. What happens if a kid draws a bunch of army men on the side of the house to shoot each other? Are those army men toys that are sentient and can move around the house?
What about drawings? Drawings in and of itself.
Is it just arts and craft types of things?
But yes, this is a problem within Toy Story.
Yeah, I would say this is a plot hole because he does not believe he's a toy. So
why would he do that? And you just going, no, it exists in other movies. This whataboutism stuff. Hey, what about this in Man of Steel? But you like Toy Story and that has plot holes. Yes. Now what?
They're not good there. What's the conversation we can have now?
In Toy Story, why does Buzz freeze like the other toys when he thinks he's a real person? In Ocean's 11,
Yes, why? Let's talk about this. Not it doesn't matter, because this gravely affects the story. This is not a chip. This is you pushing down a pillar to take down a house. Because he should not be doing that. If he does reveal himself, apparently rules are broken, and he's revealed himself to be a toy,
and he's an outcast in the toy console or something, whatever.
Or Andy goes downstairs, just goes, Mom, this month, and Toy is talking, and that mom takes the toy and takes him around the country and
billions of dollars,
billions of dollars, or takes him to NASA or something. They're gonna study that toy, and he's gonna be like, yeah, there's a bunch of toys in the Andy's room. They're talking about their toys and they're alive and stuff like that. It's weird. Apparently all toys are alive, and then all toys are ousted within 5 minutes of Buzz coming home. So yes, this crumbles the story. When you think about it, this is not something that you just go, no, don't even worry about that.
Who cares?
They get the flyers into the vault. In Cinderella, why does the glass slipper stay when everything else disappears? In Alien...
Yes! Why does it? Because that's the thing that allows him to find Cinderella. Yes, let's talk about this. Why does it?
If it's just not whatever is on her at the moment, it doesn't change back.
I mean, the horses aren't on hers.
Yeah, I truly don't know.
So yes, this is an issue because it solves an issue within the story. If not for that glass slipper, how would he find her? He wouldn't. Or maybe he would interview everybody and eventually get to her. Whatever. But yes, that is a big issue.
The acid can melt through the floor. Why doesn't it melt through the entire ship? In Gremlins, what is acid?
I don't think acid works like that. I don't think... It just eats through
every single
like
thing.
If you drop a drop of acid, it'll just eat through to the core of the earth? No.
Eventually
it dissipates.
Yeah. It breaks things down. And so it's just like dropping water into sand. It's not gonna go through the sand.
You won't get the same amount of water that you put into the top of the sand at the bottom. Some of it's gonna be absorbed.
Like if you got a bucket of sand and you dump water into it, it's not going to get to the bottom.
After midnight technically mean? Isn't it always after midnight? How does that...
Absolutely. What does that mean? Time zone wise, whatever. That's also a big thing in disaster movies. Stuff like Digimon. The Digimon where they were like 666, the number of the beast. Surprised they did that when we were kids.
And just allowed it.
Just allowed it. It was like this month is coming 666 Japan time. You go, really? He's on Japan time, word? So yeah, it's technically always after midnight. Yeah, and when does it restart? Is it midnight to 6? When can I feed this thing? So yes, this is an issue. And yes, we should talk about it. I understand that everything has plot holes. Maybe not everything.
Enough things have plot holes to be...
The vast majority of things have plot holes. But that doesn't preclude us from talking about them simply because a lot of things have them.
It won't make any sense. In Star Wars, why does the Death Star have a trash compactor when they can just jettison the trash into space?
Of course. to further compact them to
jettison into
jettison them into space so that you
Why
don't
do we-
crash into stuff as you're flying.
Why do we have trash compactors if we could just fill up landfills with them? To compact it so we can have more garbage?
If you're on...
But I understand with the vastness of space, there's not really a need to compact. But then again, if there's just unbelievable garbage, when you're warping, would you hit that garbage?
And would it go through you?
When you're doing all that speedy...
The Death Star carries about 1 million people, I think it was said. They're not all gonna have, within arm's reach, a pod to just shoot a bag of chips into space. They would have to put it into a tube that goes somewhere, and then that gets shot into space.
A centralized tube.
Something like a trash compactor. And then that gets shot into space. I say that makes sense. I don't think that that's an issue whatsoever.
I can see where it would be an issue with the vastness of space.
I don't think... But again,
Space
you would have to
long.
have these...
And how many, realistically, how many big ships have we seen in Star Wars? Like 6? Most is just people on their home worlds.
I'm just saying that it is a lot more convenient to have a bunch of tubes that lead down to a trash compactor than to have areas where you go, all right, stand here and throw your pop into space.
No, but those tubes can just lead directly into space instead of a trash compactor, is what they're saying. Instead of just landing in a centralized area, it would just land into space.
Yeah, I still don't have
My whole thing is, how much does, if you were to do it that way, how much does the vacuum of space play into it? Like, there would have to be some mechanism where if the top opens, the bottom closes. So there's not the vacuum of space when you dump your trash into the hole.
Look, if you want to watch stuff this way, you can even find plot holes in this video. Why am I wearing sunglasses if I'm inside? I'm indoors and...
No,
That's not a plot hole.
That's not a plot hole. That's a douchey fashion choice.
You could also just have sensitivity to the light. It could just be daytime and light.
Yeah, I have a friend. She's sensitive to the light. She always has to wear glasses. She has poor eyesight and she's sensitive to the light.
Yeah, that's not a plot hole. That's
Bruce had the same thing where it depending on how much sunshine there was, it would change.
Oh, I have those glasses.
Yeah, see,
Oh, they're not cheap.
Do you even wear your glasses though?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was very not convincing. That's some DSP stuff. I wear it when I need it. Ugh.
inside. I'm indoors in one shot and outdoors in the next.
Also, what's the big? I was so sad yesterday. We were so sad yesterday. You didn't see that tweet from DSP?
What? It had to be chargebacks.
Yep,
we're about an hour in. Time to start talking about DSP as is per usual. Yeah, it had to be chargebacks or because it's got to be something to do with money because it's always something to do with money
with him.
And he's going, I didn't know if I was going to rage or cry. It's not going to be, oh man, PlayStation Plus double charged me. Oh, but that also has to do with money.
I wonder if it's he was out and about trying to pay for something and then the money got taken out of his account because of the chargebacks and then they couldn't pay for the thing.
Or
like at a restaurant or something. Oh!
Or maybe his PayPal got hit or something and he can't.
Oh, they updated their terms of services. It's not looking good.
It's something to do with money.
But we never see me go outside. Plot hole.
That's
you
not.
Were outside when you were outside the building on the roof, even if it was a green screen. There have been moments in this video where you're punching Guy. You're outside. You were outside, you idiot.
I don't think that it's a stretch to assume that you can walk outside. There's nothing suggesting that you have some sort of sensitivity to sunlight where you melt where you're chained on the ground or anything. You can freely walk outside. This is not a plot hole because we don't see this.
You can find plot holes or logic gaps in any movie. And if you want to...
You absolutely can, but that doesn't detract from the fact that they're there. Just because everything has it doesn't mean that nothing has it and we can't talk about it. Shut up.
Shut up.
Go right ahead. Just don't tell me that those are genuine flaws and problems and reasons that a movie is bad.
Pause.
Those were genuine flaws, at least 80% of them.
Yes, but the fact that the whole why does Buzz freeze when he should be a toy, that is not the reason why the movie is bad. That would be a chipping away of this reason.
That would be part of the reason why the movie is bad.
Plus the animation is horrible. Andy looks like trash, and all the kids in Toy Story, all the little children are just face swaps of Andy because they had one model. And then once you have enough of them, you can be like, now it's bad. Now we can start talking about this movie is bad. Not simply that, hey, the acid didn't eat away at this thing, so the movie's bad. No.
Because they're not. None of these things actually matter. Because they're not what a movie is about. So even though most people are using the term...
Where are you right now, sir?
He's outside, but we didn't see him go outside.
Plot hole incorrectly, all of these complaints are rooted in the same thing. But movies aren't about logic. They're not equations, they're not proofs, they're not puzzles. Movies are not math. Remember that guy in your freshman dorm who had...
Okay, can I stop you? Movies are not math, even though there are statistic things of why a movie is greenlit and that it will make the most money or is the most palatable to an audience. There is internal logic in movies, though. You can accept what a movie is doing. Like Indiana Jones. You accept that there are all these primitive traps inside of this cave that Indy has to get through. You accept that. How many primitive traps are there in our actual world? I doubt very many. Especially with the way technology is now. If they were to find one, I'm sure they could just beep, boop, boop it away. Just wear some armor or some... I don't know.
Yeah, a spear coming out of in wall.
Yeah, what's that gonna do to you?
Who knows if the propulsion that sprang it forward is still working, it hasn't rusted. And if you know where it is, you just get a shield or, like you said, some armor or something.
Nanobots giving you a suit of armor. That's Iron Man. That's not happening in our world, but in the eternal logic of the Marvel films, okay, that makes sense. He created nanobots that gave him his armor.
The classic one that we use is Spider-Man. We know what he can do. We know swing on webs, super strength and all that stuff. But if he starts breathing fire, that is outside of what we know a spider can do. So it's going to be an issue.
And that's outside of what we know Spider-Man could do. Internal logic.
Simple.
So even if they're not a math formula, within a movie itself, there is logic that should be followed. If you're on the planet Earth and suddenly it's with no explanation at all, everyone's hopping around because the gravity is lower. That's not the way things are. Yeah. But if you say, oh, there was a shift in the planet or some bullshit, whatever would lower our gravity, atmosphere, whatever would lower it a little bit, then it's explained. And now the internal logic is the gravity of Earth is slightly lower.
Always try to guess the endings of movies so that he could prove that he was smarter than the people who made them. Well, now everyone is turning into that guy. On the site movieplotholes.
No. We're not finding the ending. Even though a lot of these endings are formulaic and you can figure them out. We're watching the movies and going, hey, this thing does not to make a sense.
There are 7 plot holes listed for Die Hard. The first one says that the villain's plan is to stage a hostage situation so that the police will shut down power to the building, allowing them to access the vault. But since they would have already had detailed plans of the building, they could have just shut down power themselves, making the whole thing more simple. Now, I know it seems impossible to watch movies wrong, but you're watching movies wrong.
No. With that one specific thing, if they could have done that thing, why didn't they do that thing? Your explanation is because the movie needs to happen. Then they should have wrote the movie in a different way.
It should have been something different.
It should have been a different movie.
We can't get access to the power because, and that's a single line that gets rid of that plot hole. Now,
anything internal that shuts off the power will not open the vault. There's a tripwire. There's a whatever.
It needs to be external.
It needs to be an external thing.
It's only 2 people that can do that, and those 2 people are over there outside of our payroll, and we can't go up to them and be like, "Hey, yo, do this," because they'll instantly report us, and then I'll get our plans shut down. Now, I don't know if this is in the movie necessarily or not, but
I've seen Die Hard a bunch of times, but it's been legitimately 14 years since I've seen it last.
Do they say why they would shut off the power? The cops would shut off the power in a hostage situation?
I remember why they did it, but I can't remember why they did it.
So there's a reason why they did it.
Die Hard is a movie about an ordinary man thrown into an impossible situation who needs to rise to the occasion and persevere so that he can reunite with his estranged wife. That's the point of the movie. That's what it's about.
Yes, that's the point of the movie.
So anything can happen within a movie so long as that's the point of the movie. I don't understand that mindset. You can't just go, that's the point of the movie, so whatever. Shut up, everybody.
The other plot holes for Die Hard listed on the site are variations on, why didn't John McClane do this? Well, because the whole point of John McClane is that he's a normal guy who makes human mistakes.
What was the thing?
What was it?
What was the
thing that why didn't he do this? Because you shut down, you didn't even shut down that last one. You just went, shut up.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Theo, the hacker and safe burglar who works with terrorists, said that drilling into the safe made the electromagnetic lock drop. As far as an electromagnet is just a magic that's activated by electric current. Why didn't they interrupt with electrical power supplied to the vault to avoid such a situation? John McClane appeared to be against terrorists. They didn't realize it until the very moment when he killed one man from the group and sent him down a lift. However, by doing so, he wanted to protect his spouse, and his actions seemed to be illogical. Some of it is just think of it, minor plot hole, that type of thing, minor plot hole. Even though it was Christmas Eve, why weren't there any cleaning personnel or guards working? They would have noticed and dispatched by the terrorists. Yes, they would have been working. The tower was 32 stories high, which means there's hundreds of cubicles and offices. Why John McClane didn't try to enter some of the offices and hide from the villains while trying to contact police, that type of thing.
The perfect, most logical thing every single time, he wouldn't be the same character. He'd basically be a Vulcan, and the movie would end way earlier and be terrible.
You've already had this argument of everybody, they don't need to be logical, because shut up, because they're human.
Potter and the Goblet of Fire. At the climax of the story, Harry reaches the Tri-Wizard Cup, which turns out to have been turned into a port key that transports him to Voldemort. So the villain's whole plan hinged on Harry being the one to get to the cup first and win the tournament. But really, any random object could have been turned into a port key, and they could have sent him to Voldemort way earlier without all that hassle. But that doesn't matter.
Pause.
No. It would have to be something that Harry
would
touches and is away from people.
That other people would not touch.
So they'd have to get into his bedroom and port key his underwear or something. Something that logically no other person in the entire school would touch before Harry Potter. And there's very few things I could think of where they could do it under the eye of Dumbledore, no less.
Yeah,
and
that's also a thing. You have to realize that If Mad Eye Moody just goes sneaking around, there's house elves. There's he's had to go into the common room, so he's got to go through the fat lady, and then the fat lady just goes, "Oh yeah, Mad Eye Moody was in here," and Harry is now missing. I wonder what happened. Hey, Mad Eye, it is in midnight. Why are you going into the common room of a bunch of children?
For better reasons than you think.
I see. You can't do it in like the afternoon because surely there's going to be somebody there. And not everybody has the same schedule, so there's going to be somebody there. So you can't do it in like the daytime. There's no real time to do that. But if you want to talk about like maybe in the Defense Against the Dark Arts, Harry puts down his quill and then Mad Eye just goes Porky. What?
But no, because then there would be an absolute hunt for Harry Potter.
But it'd be too late. Really.
Yeah. Okay, let's just say Voldemort does his plan and stuff. The wizard world would automatically know some bullshit went on there.
Instead of just
a year allowing him to get his forces back up.
And also the fact that during the Triwizard Tournament, we know that people have died within it, and Harry Potter is just another casualty.
Yes. Which was part of the plot. That's why they did it in the Triwizard Cup, which is
where literally nobody can see him within the whole big maze.
Yeah, if he was, he dies by Voldemort's hand, gets Portkey back, and then is dead, they would just go, he died in the tournament. He was too young. This shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, the woods took him.
The trees, man, the trees.
They just got him, and that's legendary hero Harry Potter dead.
I seen it. The trees. They just
yeah. And Crumb was taken over. I forget what it is. Imperious. He was Imperious, so he could just be like, yeah, I saw it. He got sucked up by the maze, and yeah, I ran by him. End of story.
The boy who died.
Yeah, he's dead. Where's the Portkey? I mean, where's the trophy?
What was that? What was that?
Huh? What?
Oh, I misspoke. Don't worry about it. Hail the Dark Lord.
He's back, by the way. Huh?
But that doesn't matter.
Yes, it does
We're
matter.
so invested in Harry trying to figure out a way to win.
Investment doesn't matter. It's not just whatever happens within a story so long as we're invested, anything can happen. No. Why didn't Harry unlock his amazing latent ability and one-shot Voldemort? Why did he just do that? If he did that, would it be an issue? Because we're so invested in Harry Potter living. I think it'd be an issue if he just went, oh, good thing, and I got 6 wands, and all of them started shooting beams. Where he's just not even saying spells, he's just doing it from his mind, which is a very difficult thing to do, and he's just going 6 different spells from 6 different wands. Where do you get those wands?
Don't you love how in the 7th book he gets crucioed while not making a single noise, even though hardened auras have went crazy through it? Don't you love that this 17-year-old mediocre wizard is able to do the thing?
So yeah.
God, that book sucks.
So yes, it doesn't matter the level of investment, because again, this is a whole thing of suspension of disbelief. There are reasons as to why he didn't just go Portkey his spoon from his cereal. In full view of everybody, Harry Potter, legendary wizard, disappears.
He didn't just grab him in a classroom and then within 3 hours, Ron and Hermione's like, oh, where the is Harry? He done missed 3 classes. What's happening here?
But if he pulls out 6 wands and does 6 separate spells that all disintegrate Voldemort, we're invested in the story, so it shouldn't matter, should it? Yes, it should matter.
If he just took out every Death Eater and that was the end of the series right there. He took them all out along with Voldemort and just came back to school like, I got them all.
Surprised by the reveal of the port key and Voldemort returning, that to pick apart the logic of the villain's plan would mean totally disengaging from the story. This, like so many plot holes, are things...
No, you can be engaged with the story at the moment and then afterwards go... Because that's why initial reviews tend to be higher or lower depending on how you felt. And then later on you can go, actually that wasn't as bad or that wasn't as good. The way you felt initially is not going to always be the way you feel in the future. Mm-hmm. There are many things that I loved that I'm like... That's not very good.
Well, you just sit down and have a think about it and just go, oh crap, that didn't make sense.
Like you in Multiverse of Madness.
It's a bit of a rough movie.
It's a very bad movie. We were not understanding what you were doing there.
It's a bit of a rough movie.
But, I watched, what was it? Malignant. I really liked Malignant. I think it's a good movie. And you watched, either Jay and Mike, or you watched...
Red Letter Media.
Yeah, Red Letter Media. Or you watched EFAP or somebody talk about it. And you were like, you like that movie? Because it sounds very, very bad. Yes. But maybe on a rewatch, I wouldn't like it as much. Who the knows? Oh boy, Chucky came back. It's weekly again.
Oh,
it's not a wait for the. I watched episode 1 of She-Hulk, and I was like, I can wait for the end of the season to watch the rest of it. That's not happening.
When you went, Chucky came back, and you were like, I'm like, oh, is it bad? Oh no,
it's weekly,
is it big stank?
It's the big good. I love it. And it's over. It's f***ing over. Chucky and Peacemaker, the only thing that forced me to be weekly, cause they're f***ing great. And I got that Chucky card. I'll let your boy. Chucky Boys is up.
That would just destroy any conflict or drama and end the story immediately.
No, it wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't. There are logical reasons of why you don't just make a random tile of brick a port key. Because then 7 students go missing, you go, oh, what? They shut down the school when like 2 or 3 students got frozen. They said, we gotta shut this mother down. What are we doing here?
I'm trying to remember.
Which part?
Was there any sort of... Is there any sort of indication that something is a port key?
No. It doesn't like glow or anything. Because I remember a tin can or a fish hook was like the first thing he ever grabbed. He's like, why are we grabbing this random trash? And it has to be activated at a specific time. It's not just a free and open thing to where a kid can pick up the trash can. Because the dad, Father Weasley, was like, hurry up and grab onto it, because it's about to activate. Mm-hmm. And then it would deactivate. So it's not like they could just... They probably could forever have it, Does the port key only port living thing? No, because it transports their clothes, too. And that's one of those things where it's just like, whatever.
If it's a can on the ground and it's activated, it's not transporting the blades of grass.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Plus, we have the molecules in the air,
and that's the part where I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah,
I accept this, even though it could be seen. That's more of a nitpick than a plot hole, though.
Okay, so there's touch activated port keys and time activated ones.
There you go. And them touching it at the same time activated it.
Like, sure, to an objective, omniscient viewer, it would make logical sense for Admiral Haldo to tell Poe Dameron her plan.
You're really defending this?
It's filth indefensible. Why she didn't go to a high-ranking member of the crew, one that is already shown to be able to disobey orders when he went over to Leia, cut off the comms, or just like bomb that mother earlier in the movie. So we've seen that he's willing to disobey direct orders, and he's not even saying, tell me the plan. He's going, tell us we have a plan. And she
could tell him the plan, and he can go, no, that's stupid. We're not going to survive that. I'm going to come up with something better. I'm going to do something better. And his thing f***s up her plan to where she needs to do the giant light speed through ship's boards. And he goes, my impulsiveness and me thinking I'm better and I know more got her killed. And now I have learned a lesson.
Could have been like that. But as it stands, we have no reason why she didn't tell him the plan.
Except the story needs to happen.
This is literally the story needs to happen. Because otherwise, because as soon as she said it, he went, oh, yo, that's a pretty good plan.
Here's the thing. He's saying that if these logical things had happened, the movie wouldn't happen. But if you're thinking about these things while writing the movie, you create the conflict in a different way while adhering to those logical things. Like with the electricity getting shut off. If the movie had done something else to allow them to open the vault than the lights getting shut off, the logical thing is there because they don't need to do it internally. It's something external they need to do to the vault itself. But the movie can still happen. It only is illogical and shut up about it if the exact same movie is presented and we just need to accept it instead of having a better written movie and the almost exact same things happen. Like what we just said with the Harry Potter thing. Like what I just said with Die Hard. Like what I just said with Star Wars. Now, maybe those things create another issue and another issue and another issue that I'm not thinking about in the moment, but because I'm not a writer and I'm not writing out the entire story. But for right now, if these things are just switched up 5%, your movie can be almost the exact same, largely the same story beats and plot beats and moment beats, and still adhere to the internal logic and external logic in some cases. But no, shut up.
Just shut up.
And then there would be no conflict and no drama. Poe would never send Finn on a mission, and Finn would never grow, and Poe would never grow, and there would be no story. And also,
what I just said would still happen if I just said it the way I said it, correct?
So we need to have these people acting so stupid, so illogical for no reason. Literally, everybody that I've seen that complains about this issue goes, if she had just said, I believe there's a traitor on board, so the plan is centralized to only the people that I can absolutely trust. End of issue.
And he could just go, that's not good enough. I don't believe she's telling the truth. So we got to do our own thing here, guys.
And the movie continues. And we don't have this gaping issue here where this character is acting very stupidly. Again, you go back to impulse and emotions. Impulse. What's the impulse? They're moving very, very slowly through space. It's not a momentary bam. This is a decision that needs to be made. He constantly asks her for the plan. Emotions? What emotions? We've just been introduced to this character. We don't know who she is. We don't know how she feels about Poe. So there is no real emotions playing into this. That she wouldn't simply let him know the plan. But no, the movie just needs to happen.
Why she doesn't tell him the plan, she doesn't trust him, he just f***ed up and got demoted, she has no reason to. Again,
Paul,
if you think this...
He got demoted, but he got demoted to like captain instead of like lieutenant. He's still very high ranking. She does not give a reason why she doesn't say the plan. Just like in A Quiet Place, they don't give a reason why they don't go to the waterfall. That's the issue.
This is a plot hole, or you're annoyed because of the logic here, you're kinda watching movies wrong. There's an episode of the show Community that imagined what a horror movie would look like if all the characters only made totally logical decisions.
Should we go check it out?
No. We should call 911 on my fully charged cell phone, lock the doors, and then stand back to back in the middle of the room holding knives.
And the conclusion is that it would be really...
Okay, so what if, let's say, 10 people, like, what was that movie where they broke into the houses and they were all wearing masks? The Strangers?
Yep, The Strangers.
Okay, yeah, something like that. There's too many people to handle, and you still have that issue.
What if it's a supernatural creature like Jason? Do you think a single knife is going to do anything to protect you?
This works for something like Scream, but
Scream attacks people that are alone.
Yes, and he goes
usually it's two people.
With my fully charged cell phone. Is it logical to have your cell phone charged at every single moment?
If these horror movies were better written, you could still get past all of this stuff, like two people standing in the middle of a room with a knife. With a better written movie. Find a way to separate them. Find a way to make them drop the knives. Mm-hmm. Any number of things.
Cell reception is down, which is a thing that just can happen. Oh yeah, what I was talking about. He said that, hey, here's my fully charged phone, but is it necessarily logical to have a fully charged phone at all times? Mm-hmm. You don't know what can happen. This is somebody that's busting in trying to get to y'all. When the power went off a couple weeks ago, my power was at like 40. I didn't expect for the power to go off, so my phone wasn't charged.
I'll be playing games on my phone sometimes, and it'll go, oh, you got 5% left. And oh, shit. Like, it's not... You would need an external charger, like, at all times.
Yeah, so it's a joke, but having a fully charged phone at all times is not necessarily logical.
But again, there are many ways to get through this if you write it in a way to get through these things. You're simply going, as things stand, there's no way to have a logical movie and still have an enjoyable experience. That's why everyone should watch Cabin in the Woods. Cabin in the Woods, you cucks. Upgrade, you cucks. God, y'all cucks!
Boring. I am in no way telling you to turn your brain off or to not think critically about...
You absolutely are.
1,000,000,000% are. You said, shut up about plot holes, and they don't matter.
And they're in everything, so you could just nitpick at any story. You absolutely are saying to just shut your brain off.
You're watching movies wrong if you're watching movies with a logical, objective brain. So I should have an illogical, subjective brain. I.e., turn it off and watch the Blinky.
Movies. Not at all. I'm saying you should worry about the things that actually matter.
Who decides what actually matters? To the person speaking about these things, they matter. Otherwise, they wouldn't be speaking about these things. And they're informing other people, so maybe they'll think about that thing and go, hey, that does kind of matter. That is irksome in this piece of media. Who are you the arbiter of what matters in media?
Hey, what if it matters to somebody more about lighting? Doesn't matter to me, but that matters to them. What matters, Patrick?
So, take Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. I think it's a bad movie, and it has big old dumb logic issues, like why can Superman locate Lois Lane from her heartbeat but can't find his mother the same way? Why doesn't Wonder Woman, who isn't affected by kryptonite, be the one to use the spear against Doomsday? But those aren't the real problems with the movie. The actual problem...
Those are parts of the problems of the movie. Why can't Superman do that? Who cares about this illogical thing? This thing needs to happen.
If Wonder Woman had done that, then Clark wouldn't have died.
You could have had a thing where we're forcing a regular heartbeat out of her. If Lex knows enough about Superman to know who the guy is who kidnapped his mother, I would assume he knows about the heartbeat thing.
Just like, she's in a room with a super high-pitched, constantly whining thing, so you can't exactly pinpoint where it is. It sort of masks it. And again, like you said, these aren't the reason why the movie is bad, but these contribute to the reasons why the movie is bad.
Absent of these reasons, the movie's still bad.
Yes.
With these reasons, the movie's still bad. Absent of the other reasons and keeping this thing in, if you take away all the other things and had a good movie and these two things were the issue, the movie isn't bad, but it's worsened.
And is this one of those things that are just like, this is completely valid? Because the whole heartbeat thing, that doesn't apply into impulsivity, emotions, what did he say in the beginning? Not continuity issues.
Contrivances.
Contrivances.
Is it contrivances? Is it contrivi?
It's Contravis. Contravis.
Contravis.
Oh, this is
Kurt
a
Travis.
Contravesty.
Problems are that many of the central characters are totally static and poorly motivated, and they don't learn anything or grow through the story. And the one major moment
They
of
don't
growth
learn anything or grow through the story. Batman absolutely does. He learns to be more trusting.
Absolutely.
That's just wrong.
That's just wrong.
We see how he gets to this point. We see him working with teams.
When he didn't before.
So you're just wrong.
Wonder Woman learns to let go of the past and stop hiding herself to help out humanity again.
Superman doesn't, really.
Superman don't learn but he doesn't need to learn in this movie. There's nothing outwardly that he needs to change about himself here.
Caused by a ridiculous plot contrivance. So as much as I enjoy making fun of some...
Hey, why are those the valid reasons and the Martha not a valid reason? What makes those the valid ones? Please explain.
Moving
Past
on.
You.
I wonder did he do a review or something?
Or a follow-up. I wonder if he's still making content. Because this blew the up.
Looks like he did not.
Cool.
And that's for 2 weeks ago.
Which was
The secret ingredient that makes the Raimi Spider-Man so great. 43 minutes.
Heart. God. There's nothing else to talk about there.
dumb logic gaps in that movie, they still don't really matter.
The plot holes, remember?
Why
the plot
don't they matter? Has he explained why they don't matter?
Mm-mm. They're not the right ones to matter about, to be mad about.
But what are the valid ones?
Yeah, they're valid. That's why they matter.
So
are you not getting this? Are you not getting this? I'm sorry. Are you not getting this?
Who cares what matters and what doesn't matter? And he goes, these don't matter, but these do matter.
People, I say we're doing Revisited, so we can't watch Phil right now. They're like, Phil Revisited.
So you're trying to tell me the supremacy, Snoke's ship, isn't powerful enough to penetrate the shields?
In episode 2F09, when Ichi plays Scratchy's skeleton like a xylophone, he strikes the same rib twice in succession, yet he produces two clearly different tones.
Oh, someone got fired for that. No, but that is, look at this nerd that you sound like.
How about you refute the thing? Yeah, the person could have just went, yeah, it was clearly a mistake.
And what if somebody went after what you said of why didn't blah 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 in Batman versus Superman? Why didn't they? What if they just played that clip and like, this is what you sound like? You're like, no, I don't. So you can't afford those other people the same
Courtesy.
It's ridiculous. I'm so curious about what happened to Phil.
Just keep it ready. But it hasn't always been this way. Yes, it has always been this way. There just wasn't enough people talking about it because the only way to communicate with people were to go to conventions or your friend group, or if you were nerdy enough at the time, IRC chat room.
Why is it that in the 80s or 90s or early 2000s, no one really cared about plot holes?
Where's your proof?
Where's the evidence? Dude, you can't just say people didn't care.
Hey, 80s, 90s, early 2000s? You mean when the internet wasn't prevalent, you didn't hear a lot of people talking about things like plot holes in your very limited friend group? Did you go to college and go to a movie club where they discussed and dissected, like a book club where they discussed and dissected movies? Or did you go, yo, my friend, what did you believe about said movie? Pretty good. I didn't think these things were good. Cool, my friend. Hey, does your mom 69 on Reddit? What are the issues of this?
69.
Blank, 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 blank. And here's 30 people responding to it. All around the globe.
I'm trying to see how old he is. Because he goes, why wasn't it prevalent back then? It's like, were you alive back then? And if you were alive back then, surely you'd realize that you're a kid, and kids are like, wow, big pretty. You're not going into adult spaces and having conversations with adults. And it seems like he's keeping
it under wraps. Oh, yeah. Old enough.
He's 40. He was born in 81. Did he say in the 70s? And
No. The 80s, 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
I mean, as a 7-year-old, I didn't think about plot holes.
Yeah, no.
Sorry. As I'd say, even as a 15 to 18-year-old, I didn't think about them.
Yeah.
Maybe 20-year-old, I didn't even think about them.
The first thing that I can think of is literally I have a Naruto review on MyAnimeLists, and it's talking about issues that don't make sense in the plot. So that's the earliest thing that I can pinpoint and go this, and that was around the age of 18.
So if you're going through life in the 80s and the 90s, you're probably not. And how many people are watching a bunch of movies to talk about the plot holes?
Yeah. And just because you didn't see those people talking about it doesn't mean that they weren't talking about it. You
because
just
again,
didn't get that.
Very limited scope of people to talk to about this thing. Did you take a survey? Did you walk up to random? Did you stand outside of a movie theater and just go, "Hey, what did you think about the movie? What were the problems of the movie?" Did you in the space of the 20 years, the span of the 25 years before the internet blew up, how many people had you talked to and had a actual conversation?
Movies.
Actual conversation.
Movies that you didn't like, movies that they didn't like, movies that you guys agreed on, disagreed with. What? How many?
Information is so much more readily available. Opinions are so much more readily available. How can you say it just didn't happen in the 80s and 90s? That's a foolish mindset.
I think the number of people that I've talked to about Good Burger, a movie that I've seen no less than 20 times, it's like, outside of the family, maybe 3 people.
I don't think I've ever talked to anybody about Rush Hour. And I've seen that movie legitimately 50 times. How many people am I talking? If the internet didn't exist, where I could just spout about how great Coco is. How many people have I talked to about Coco? The friend group, the family, and a few of my actual friends outside of the big friend group. Mm-hmm. I used to go to a fighting game tournament every Monday, and everybody there, almost everybody there was a nerd. They were always yelling about Dragon Ball and blank, blank, blank. No conversations with these people. Why would I have a conversation about Dragon Ball? So to say, even while a conversation was going on, a lot of times I didn't insert myself. I did with a Marvel thing once, and it ended very yelly. But the Michigan fighting game community is very yelly to begin with. And I'm a yelly person, so.
They still existed, but no one ever complained a movie was bad because of all the plot holes.
They may not have used the word plot holes, but they used issues. This doesn't make sense. Things like that. The word plot hole may not have been in the lexicon, but it was, wait a second, trash compactor? Huh? Wait, didn't in Ben Solo, didn't he lie when he said that Darth Vader killed your daddy? And he went, oh, that was kinda true. So you could have these issues within the movie. People didn't like the third Star Wars movie. I'm sure that there was some issues with the plot that people didn't like within it. It wasn't just, hey, it's kiddie and all this stuff. Don't.
Roger and Ebert. I'm just looking for
Cause if let's say Han Solo, 30-year-old Han Solo was zip zapping around in the Phantom Menace, I'm sure people were like, even though it was early 2000s, late 90s, people would be like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. He's a grown man in 30 years. Why is he 30 now? Why wouldn't he be old in the first movies? They would say something like that, but they wouldn't use the word like plot hole. You can't just say people didn't talk about this stuff.
So what happened? Basically, the internet. Because I like driving myself insane, I searched back through Google year by year for references to plot holes. Until about 2007, they only appeared...
Yes, you're looking for the word plot hole, not the issues within the films.
Plot holes is a very easy thing to say, like fame and those types of things. Dynamic. It's a very buzzwordy word that is quick. People know what you're talking about. Plot holes. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Without the issue being stated outright. People could have been complaining about things in Star Wars 80s review. But if you're looking for the word plot hole for a 1980s review of Star Wars,
you're gonna find them so sparingly. Why didn't you look up something like Toy Story came out in like 96, 97?
Somewhere around there.
Why didn't you look up why did Buzz freeze and year by year? Not necessarily for the plot hole, but simply for the criticism.
Buzz freezes or something.
In movie reviews and forum posts. They hadn't gone fully mainstream yet. They hadn't been embraced by the public. But then in 2008, Cracked published the article 8 Classic Movies That Got Away with Gaping Plot Holes. There were more forum posts. Then in 2009, the TV Tropes page for Plot Hole was created. In 2010, it really began. Articles on Wired, The Escapist, Den of Geek, and Kotaku. Plot holes had officially crossed over into mainstream nerd culture. Their rise coincided with the arrival of listicle articles, and plot holes were the perfect clickbait. Nitpicks about popular things that could reveal things readers may have missed. But 2012 was where the change really happened. This was when plot holes started taking over YouTube. Pop culture commentary from a nerdy fan perspective began exploding in popularity. And immediately, the types of videos that proved most popular were humorous analyses of popular movies focusing on surface-level nitpicks. And over the next several years, these types of videos...
Yes, those were humorous, but they were also sprinkled with actual issues. But the actual issues are the things that you pay attention to.
But here's the issue. What are the actual things for a Cinema Sans video? They suck.
Yes, they do.
But even so,
But
the issue itself is not just them going plot hole. Again, those issues may have been prevalent since film reviews were a thing. You would have to you would have to know about a plot hole. Search for a review that says roughly those words and go, oh, they did talk about the plot hole. They just didn't use the word plot hole. Just like if people are talking about in old reviews connecting through lines, plot through lines, they may not use the word theme, but we know what a theme is.
because imagine the clunky writing if somebody goes, and here's a plot hole in this movie. It's
It's
clunky
such
as
a
crap.
plot hole.
They would be like, now this film is not without its faults, such as this thing happening.
There are illogical things within the plot that take me out of the movie, such as why would blah 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 do the thing of the thing.
Grew in number and popularity. For many people, especially millennials and whatever the generation.
This musical sting is way too loud, sir.
I don't like the sinister lighting as, oh, they're taking over them.
After Millennials is called, most film criticism they consume is on YouTube. And not all, but a lot of this is surface level critique, focusing on nitpicks, and chief among those nitpicks, plot holes. Plot holes don't
Such as who?
Plot holes are not a nitpick. They are an issue within the story. That's why they're holes. If they're a big enough hole, they become an issue that detracts from the film.
You need to explain what the plot hole is, why it's a plot hole, why it doesn't matter. Instead of just going, punch, Batman, shut up.
There are smarmy YouTubers that go, why wouldn't and understandably, you're just like, you're not truly explaining it. You're just putting the question out there and letting the audience think about it themselves instead of your own issue with it. You do have smarmy YouTubers.
Absolutely.
Like
But the people that break down things, you go, well, they broke it down instead of just begging the question like, hey, why didn't this happen? Ding.
don't really mean anything, but they're good clickbait, and those videos get views, and they multiply. And people
Is this your only example? Yes, we know Cinema Sins is bad. Yes, we know the copycat Cinema Sins are bad. But
move on.
as much as you don't like, as much as in Nostalgia Critic has gone down, he talks about a film and goes, this is an issue with the film. He does it in comedic fashion, whatever. But even back in the day, he would go, this doesn't make sense within a film. Wait, what? And
I think trying to retire the Nostalgia Critic and not being able to destroyed his mind.
Probably his ego most of all.
Because now it's just like,
oh, they're not here for me.
yeah.
They're here for him. And I'm like, oh.
And that intro now is, which is the music fine, the visuals
Yes,
trash, and it's just a pseudo whatever that series was post Nostalgia Critic. I forgot what they called it. Film reel.
Yeah,
it's just a post film reel, a pseudo film reel, it wrapped up in a Nostalgia Critic review. Cool.
People watch them and believe them and repeat those points in conversation. And when they watch movies, they think about these surface level.
and see, you go and they repeat them in conversations and all that stuff. Do you have any comments? This would be a good time to go, here's something that Cinema Sin said, and here's something that was being propagated in my comment section. Almost word for word. Now, you can be like, that's an issue within a movie. The whole, how did he get back to Gotham thing? Mm-hmm. That's an issue within a movie. I didn't necessarily need to hear it from Cinema Sins.
I never did.
But you can make that connection like, here is their criticism, here's this criticism. And then maybe go to their channel like, look, they're subscribed to them, so who's to say that something like that would be better than just going, these things are just getting propagated through the internet over and over again and blah blah. You're just saying stuff.
The internet becomes more popular. film critiquing criticism, people become more critical thinking or pseudo-critical thinking, in that they're doing a lot of surface level stuff and they're thinking on a deeper level than common moviegoers, casual viewers, that type of thing. And you're ascribed, and because you didn't hear it in the 80s, it didn't exist. Because you didn't hear it in the 90s, it didn't exist.
And what
are
the
we
problem with plot holes? Why do we need to shut up about them? I still don't know.
Because they're not the point of the movie.
If that's all it is, then shut up about everything.
That's not the point.
That's not the point of the movie.
Level nitpicks. They look for them. No one is really to blame for this. Okay, CinemaSins definitely deserves.
If you're a negative film reviewer like a nostalgia critic, of course you're gonna be looking for the plot holes.
Mm-hmm. I would never want to be such a pigeonhole person of I have to always speak negatively or positively about a piece of media. I would never want to be a Win Sins channel where I watch a piece of media and just go, I need to click pause and timestamp and say a thing about the thing. I just can't sit and enjoy the thing. Imagine watching Upgrade and just needing to pause and go, the camera work here is fantastic.
Ding.
Like, I'd hate that. If that was my job, I would hate it.
Some of the blame. But it's not just them. This is way bigger. This is about cultural shifts coinciding with evolving technology. And look, as long as movies are popular and people on the internet are making videos for clicks, it's going to keep happening. So look, watch whatever YouTube videos you want, think whatever you want about movies.
This music is grating.
It's not good. It's annoying, if anything.
Turn it down.
Just, please.
I feel like he wants the word plot hole to be shut up about.
If that's the case, that's fine. Even that is like, ugh, whatever. It's not themes that I have an issue with. It's the concept of Muv going, you need to connect all these things, and that's where the story has meaning.
I have issues with the word theme when that is your entire reason of why a thing is good, or your entire explanation. It's about the theme of, and that's just the end of it.
But if I was watching a film review and it's in 40 minutes and it's boom, 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 all the rest of this stuff, and then let's say 33 minutes into it and they go, oh, and the theme is also blah, 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 and they spend like 6-7 minutes talking about the theme, they front loaded it with all this other stuff, and you go, okay, the theme is also there.
Yeah, that's what Jay did. I forgot what the movie was. It was about a bunch of houses that were the exact same. Suburbia, something like that. Suburbicon, I think. And he was essentially like blah, 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 blah. And there's this theme of blah, blah, blah that ties into this other thing.
But when it is, the theme is blah, 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 and then 2 minutes on a character.
It's a subversive theme.
Get that out of here.
What did Nuck say?
It's the,
thematic opposite.
Yep.
The thematic opposite.
And you go, well, what are you doing there? So, are we allowed to talk about issues within a movie without saying the word plot hole? I don't like this font. I just looked at the B. The B looks like trash.
Was the punching too aggressive? Maybe a bit?
The talking down is huge,
Yeah, that's a Hall of Fame for me.
Easy. Because that's just, it's such a dumb point.
Does he do anything else, or is this just all subscribers? Okay, he does do some stuff. Let's see.
This is a video I've wanted to make for a long time because clearly I have a lot of feelings about the subject, and I want to thank Sennheiser for making this possible. They sent me over their G4 wireless microphone system to try out for.
Oh, boo!
Oh yeah, this was
that was
sponsored
big
content.
money.
Okay, yeah, this is a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, this is just easy. It's just the conversation could be had that plot holes are taking over movie criticism. instead of talking about like character motivation, consistencies within their goals, world building, a bunch of other stuff where you just going looking for plot holes. This doesn't make sense because this, and this. The argument, the conversation could be had there, but when the conversation is, no, they don't matter. You've stuck frame one. We don't have anywhere to go from there because I'm like, what? And you're the arbiter of why we should care or not. What we should care about.
What matters in criticism.
What matters.
Versus what doesn't matter in criticism.
That type of stuff. That's the issues. Let's have the conversation about plot holes. Let's have a conversation about how many of them ruin the movie or how big of them ruins the movies. How they can be changed. How can they, because if you go, going back to the Toy Story thing, the whole, Buzz falls down. You could be like, oh, toys just have this internal thing where they must fall down in the presence of a human. But then you're like, well, that doesn't make sense because of Sid, and they move with Sid, so they can't have that unless they can override it. We can have these conversations. Like, it's a feeling that I must do this. Because, nobody peeing and stuff like that, holding your pee. Nobody tells you how to do that. I remember when I was doing my teaching thing, I was tutoring a kid, and I showed them moving my ears. And they go, how did you do that? I go, move your finger. And they moved their finger. I was like, how did you do that? And they went, I can't explain it. And
that's exactly what it is.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's just like when you cross your eyes, you can't really tell a person. You can say, look at your nose, but I don't need to look at my nose to just cross my eyes. Mm-hmm. I can't explain. Flare your nostrils.
Yeah.
Again, it's just like when I tried to explain to my actual Canadian girlfriend, do not hit me with this bullshit, what a biscuit was. I can't really explain a biscuit to a person. It's crazy.
It's just.
This was a guy who thinks he's too smart for the room, that also wants film criticism to be dumbed down. Because it wasn't even that. His issue was partly that people were explaining why they had issues with things, and he's going, don't even think about those issues. They don't matter, because if they were solved, the movie wouldn't happen. Write a better movie.
Just go back to the source. I'm watching this movie with problems. Don't have a movie with such glaring problems, because if it needs to happen for the story to happen and just let it happen, no, that's a problem with the story.
Yep. So video one down. We're gonna bang through that stream.
Oh yeah.
So here's my question. You heard the audio stuff that I can do. How frequently do you want it for at least viewer request month? For these videos that we don't think actually matter. How frequently do you want sound clips and text to speech? We'll need to have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Because for the thing like Moist Critical, I feel like text to speak might enhance the stream more. But we'll have a convo about it. We are out of here. Stop voting in viewer request month. Stop submitting videos.
No, vote for them. But
vote for the right ones.
Point, Captain Falcon, do better.
Do better. What is he doing?
I'm looking through the comments of this. Naruto is better than One Piece, and nobody's talking about anything. What's being said?
Why would they?
Let me get a little bit of this real quick.
It's not like a good argument in the jump games. Yeah. Now, see, I don't know how much else I'm qualified to talk about when it comes to One Piece, because I kind of don't know.
No, just go crazy. Be ignorant. That's fine. That's why these videos are fun.
Naruto has, not more sales, so can't
On sales?!
Yeah, sales-wise, One Piece blows Naruto out of the water.
Not in the West.
True.
I don't give a. Oh my god! No way!
This is what y'all voted for.
Oh my Jesus!
Well, yeah. But the lows of One Piece, I think, are lower than the lows of Naruto.
Yeah. Well, in terms of animation, anyway, I don't think the same.
All right, fine. That's fine. All right. We out here.
See y'all tomorrow.